Looks clean on my end. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Relaxed Reps. We've missed you dearly.
We did. We did. Some more than others, I think.
Yeah, Luke honestly has been enjoying this hiatus so fully. He's been just on a beach with his feet kicked up, with the
Oh,
Corona in hand. I mean, he has been living the life. I missed you all terribly. So, we have a fun one. Speaking of Luke being out and enjoying the sun rays, we're going to talk about
yeah.
burnout today. Uh, yeah, for those that don't know, lucky you, burnout is essentially when it's like, if we equate this to training, it's like the start of
There you go.
overtraining, right? What happens is our rest diminishes in quality. Our sleep is not good. Our appetite is either out of control or not there. Um, Moods swinging left and right, and we're significantly more prone to injury. That all sounds terrible because you've placed too much stress on the body. So the way I intend us to be talking about burnout is more in a career sense and scenario, but it can happen in training every bit as truly.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts and experiences with burnout, Luke? Talk to us.
You get long enough in this field. You stay long enough in this field, you will find it. It'll find you. Um, Even though some people try to say it's not real, also some people also try to say that overtraining isn't real. Um, which that probably means you're not working hard enough. Probably means you're not working hard enough. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've had in multiple places I've been at, I was like, yeah, this is not what I want to do. This is not what I signed up for or what I thought it was going to be. And I think that ends up happening, unfortunately, a lot in this field. Just whether it's the pay, whether it's the hours, whether it's sometimes communication with clients, with coaches, with people that don't maybe respect what you do or how you do it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
So there's a lot of factors. I'm going to be talking for the personal training and strength and conditioning space alone. Those of you out there in different fields, this still applies. You just got to fit the framework right. But uh,
Yeah.
pay can be one, like you said, right? But pay is also subjective in a sense. I mean, the dollar amount is objective. But let's say I'm paying you arbitrary number thrown out, $100,000 a year, and you only have to work 30 hours a week. Well, that's a pretty good gig. Now, that's going to be an intense 30 hours, but that doesn't seem like a lot. But if I say I'm going to pay you $100,000 a year and it comes with 80-hour work weeks, well, now that seems just insane. That seems, is that worth it? Probably not. Maybe it is to some
Yeah.
people. Who knows? We're all at different, spots in our life, but pay is certainly a factor. Workload is a factor. Do you have 20 clients? Do you have 100 clients? Do you have 150
Yeah.
clients? That matters. The attention to detail that you bring per client changes as that scale moves up. Um, you can talk about politics, right? Maybe you don't like your boss. Maybe you love your boss. Maybe the people that you lead, which would be your clients, aren't really on board with some of your tactics, or they want to coach their own sessions their own way. And it's like, I'm here to be the expert. How can I be the expert if you're just off
Yeah.
on your own, So it could be pressure from above or pressure below. I don't really like that framework of pressure from below, but pressure from those that you're with, your team, we'll say.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into it. And for those that say or want to believe that it's a myth and that it doesn't exist, I think that's nonsense. I think where it comes from is if you're very passionate about what you do, you can hold off fatigue from the work you're doing for a while.
Yeah.
Because sustainability is all about like the dopamine hits that you get along the way. For some, it's the paycheck. For some, it's making impact in people's lives. For some, it's maybe your team gets a massive win. We were talking about this before. If you
Yeah.
go years where your team is not winning for strategic factors, not strength and conditioning, that can still weigh on you. If you go years in a position where you're underpaid, that can wear on you. If you go years where clients are not seeing results, even though you think you're coaching everything to a T, you can start to question, is what I'm doing and applying not right? Training setting
Yeah.
versus communication, that's its own can of worms to open. But um, passion is great. Rewarded passion is what keeps you in the game and holds off that burnout. So it's not just like passion will get you there. If you you're not passionate, you're just not passionate anymore about what you do. It's like, well, I don't think that's true. I don't think
Yeah.
that's the case. I put in 80 hours a week. To say I don't have passion for this is like,
Yeah.
that's an insult to whoever you're telling that to, you know? So yeah, got long-winded there. I think it comes down to a lot of factors. I think for me, it's important to look at why do you think you feel burnout? Which one of those factors is askew? And how do you fix that? You
That's
know?
good. I like how you frame that. I mean, I've definitely been. We just talked about this before we got on. I've been struggling currently with the situation our team's been in, and just like from a culture standpoint, like not winning the games that we want to win, and trying to like look back and not be so attached to these things because I have so much emotional attachment to this that it's hard for me to not be like, well, why am I doing all this? Why am I putting all this time in? Why am I spending all this effort and hard, like, it's not easy being up at like 4 a.m. and doing these things and just for to like not be in the situations you want to be in and losing and shit. And yeah, I think it's one of those things too where it is it's hard in that way that you have to not be so attached, but still, because like in business, I guess I'm like all over the place, but I feel like in business, you can be a little more unattached to your work. You can be a little more unattached to some of those things and like finances and different things just from um, and not being, or if you're working with computers, right? It doesn't feel as emotional, I guess, in some ways. I don't
That
know.
may be true. I'm not a guy that knows much about technology or finance or the business world, so I'm the last person to draw parallels there. But I will say I think it helps if you get focused on the process rather than the result. I
Yeah.
mean, the fact that you care, the fact that you have an emotional response is a sign that you care. It's a sign of a good coach.
Yeah.
Uh, if it boils over into uncontrolled frustration with the team, then yeah, you got a problem. If it boils
Yeah.
over into, I'm shouting at these people that went out there and played what they believe is their best, yeah, you got problems. But you getting upset, I think, is just a sign that you care. So that's not a bad thing. But shifting your focus to the process rather than the result, again, I think helps stave off that burnout, keeps you in the game.
Yeah.
And you do this a bit more than I do now with me focusing on online stuff. But data collection, in terms of testing these metrics, we've said it before, you're not a skills coach. You might
Yeah.
know a lot about the game, sure, but you are not the head coach of that team. You're the strength and conditioning coach. So if your numbers hold up, again, this isn't a perfect world. We don't live in one, unfortunately. But if your numbers hold up as strength and conditioning coach, meaning your guys got stronger during season when they had all that stress, let alone compared to off season. But if they got stronger during season, if they kept their weight, where it should be and within reasonable limits, if they were able to recover and perform, you did your job. You did your job. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
the flip side
Unfortunately.
of that
Yeah.
is if all their
Yep.
numbers tank, you're also the one to blame, right? If you're the strength and conditioning coach and your guys' numbers went down and their mile runtime went down and there aren't factors that explain that outside of your program, well, then we go back to what we were talking about earlier. Then you got to change your program. Your approach is off, and
Yeah.
that's a tough pill to swallow.
And
But
that happens too. That's why I
yeah,
think when it's losing, it's a lot of like, okay, I need to work harder to figure out what the fuck's going on. And
yeah,
sometimes it's like now I'm spending way too much time trying to figure out like how I can jumpstart things and try to make things better for everybody. And doing that rather quickly in a 7 day span can be or 6 days really, but yeah, it's all learning. I'm very grateful and appreciative of these kind of moments and being able to kind of reflect on them, and yeah, I think another thing that I think of, you were going to say something.
I was just gonna say I've said this before, I know, but I think it comes down to your systems, and
Yeah.
systems are built at scale, right? Because you have the cycle of from season start to season start. You have the cycle of even just a block of training, which could be 4, 6, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, depends on however you coach it. And then you even have a cycle within a week. I mean,
Hmm.
a cycle of training could be when they walk in the door to the end of the day, right? I mean, depending on what your split looks like, they had a push day last week or a chest day last week. They have a chest day this week. They're gonna have a chest day next. It's part of the cycle. So it comes down to your systems, um, and how you're revising them. Because if you go an entire
Yeah.
4 to 6 weeks or 12 weeks, if you go an entire summer, now we're talking off season depending on what sport, but if you go an entire season and you're not checking the fail safe somewhere for your guys to end up getting worse in strength and conditioning specifically, not talking about the technicalities of game, well then you need to check your systems. That's like driving your
Yeah.
car and only doing an oil change when your check engine light comes on or after you see smoke coming up from under the hood. You've long passed when you should have checked in on things. Are they going right or are they not? You're well past it. You've missed that stage. Now you're in mission critical. You got bigger problems to solve. Um, so yeah, I think it's about the systems you implement and how well you implement them within the 6 days, within the month cycle, you know?
I love that. I I'm definitely going to be going back and watching this over a couple of times just to kind of gather my thoughts a little bit, because that's I think that's for sure what it is and it does come down to systems, and it does come down to making sure that you're tracking and managing the things that you're doing all the time, and everything that you give to an athlete should be tracked and managed, and making sure that it's doing the things that you want it to do, right?
Yeah. Speaking of systems, I, like a toddler in my own mind, like to ask the question why, and why to myself. I don't want to pester people with that. But like if I noticed this, when I was going through my workflow, because I want to swing it back to talking about burnout. Within the week, back when I was doing a little bit more volume of work, I'll say.
Yeah.
I noticed I would talk to my wife and I would, get short or get snippy or be rather unpleasant a lot of times when we talk. And it's like, I'm not that way typically walking around. At least I choose to believe. If I am, Luke's going to let me know. Um, but it's like, okay, you're carrying around a bit of stress. What's happening here? And I looked at what I was doing in terms of my workflow. And
Mm.
out of pure curiosity, again, what isn't measured isn't managed. So I would time my workflow. How long does it take me to set up the clients that I have for success for the week? How long does that take me? How long does this segment take me? How long does that segment take me? What's the total layout of the time? And I tracked it. Like we tell clients to track their macros. Well, I think I eat pretty clean. I think I'm on top of my workflow. Great. Well, you seem to be carrying around a lot of stress. Where are you
Yeah.
spending your time? Where are you spending your calories? Oh, I don't know. Well, then you can't tell me you're eating clean. Track it. Let's talk numbers, right? So, well, here's my protein, here's my carbs, here's my fat, da 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 da. Well, your carbs are through the roof. We're past any kind of realistic limit we should set there, and your protein is nowhere to be seen. So I don't know
Yep.
where you think eating clean is, but it's not here. It's not in this data set. So I was like, I got to hold myself accountable. And so I timed out my workflow. And what I noticed, and I did this regularly, again, data collection is not about, well, I did this once, so now I'm set for life. It's about having a system where we
Yep.
continue to track to see how things are progressing or not. And I noticed that when my amount of time to complete work went up, so too did my stress. Seems rather obvious, but my communication skills or ability to temper myself went down. Well, boy, that
Yeah.
makes me an unpleasant husband to be around. Probably makes me a bit of an unpleasant father. And I'm certainly not happy when I'm at a point of high stress. Oh dear, I got to figure this out. I said, well, that makes sense why I'm stressed, but now I need to do something about that. I need to revisit the systems because this is burnout caught early.
Mm.
So I said, all right, I need to shrink these times up. I need to get better at my systems, and so I need to get my workflow from takes say 6 hours a day. I don't know. Say it takes 6 hours. It needs to come down to 5. Okay, good. Now it needs to come down to 4. If I can get it at 4, I have the time to breathe, and all of my clients are happy. They're getting what
Yeah.
they're expecting, and I have enough time to breathe to be a pleasant person, like I naturally am. And I mean that's how you catch burnout, right? You say, well, what symptoms am I up against, right? I feel like I'm burning the candle at both ends. I can't catch a break and none of my bills are paid. Well, then you're overworked and you're underpaid. You take your skills, if you have skills, and take them to someone that's willing to pay you to fix burnout. If that's the
Yeah.
cause, I don't know. But diving into the why of it. Why do you think you're burnt out? Well, because I got a lot of stuff I got to do. It's like, okay, well, do you want less stuff and less pay? Well, no, I want to make a bunch of money. Okay, well, then you need to do a
Yeah.
lot, and you need good systems that allow you to do a lot without losing your mind. Come up with those. Good luck. Like, it's simple, not easy. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's what helps
I
me is
mean,
like a toddler. Ask yourself why, until you get to the most basic bottom of it, front facing answer like, oh, I don't have control over my workflows, and I thought I did. Well, that's embarrassing. Eesh, gotta
yeah.
fix that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Something that I think of a lot more now is the four P's for like
Yeah.
life or like picking jobs and things. And this is by the Strength Coach Network. Shout out Justin Lima. I'm sure he's not watching this, but the four P's for him are like,
He may.
um, who knows? Who knows? Shout out all the people that have been on YouTube. On our YouTubes, we got 30,000 views on YouTube, man. This is we're going big time, dude.
I'm ready to go to red carpets, man. Dress me up. I'll stand right next to
Yeah.
any A-lister. I'm ready to go.
Pretty soon we'll be like those people that have like the little plaques behind them. You know what I'm talking about? Like
Oh, my
all the
plaque's in the
YouTubers.
closet over there, Luke. You don't have yours on display?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I have my gold ones in the other room.
For
But
those listening, I have 0 plaques. I am not. That's yeah. Anywho, 4 P's. 4 P's.
for the four P's. So pay is the first one. Then personal life, progression, and purpose. So I mean, pay is like an easy one, and personal life is an interesting one because I think sometimes in this field it's hard to enter to discombobulate those. They're pretty intertwined sometimes with personal life, and it can get hard to um, especially whether you're in personal training, whether you're in strength and conditioning. You're usually working around people's schedules, right? So you're going to be in early mornings, you're going to be in late nights. There's usually not a lot in the middle of that, so it can be tricky when you're trying to, for example, eat dinner at a normal time, or like I would imagine eventually going to watch like your kids play sports or things, or like have
Yeah.
normal time with personal life and family and having those things. So I think that's important, and that's why I've been that's a big one for me. And purpose is an easy one. I think we all really love what we do in this profession, most of us. I mean, now it's getting kind of crazy with like fitness influencers and people thinking there's a lot of money involved in that, and there potentially is at the top like 5 or 10%, but I mean, it's a grind to get there. I'm sure any one of those people can tell you, even the fitness influencers, it's not an easy ride to get up there.
Yeah. Purpose is an interesting one because I years ago read Simon Sinek's book Start With Why, and it's a really good book. It's been a while since I've read it. Spoiler, those listening, I can read. You didn't know I'm literate. But he talks about the golden circle, which is your why, which is at the center, right? Outside of that circle is how you do what you do, and one out from that is what do you do. So he talks about this golden circle from the outside. What do you do, how do you do it, and why do you do it. And using, I think, Apple as an example, I mean, what do? You produce, at the time it was iPods, iPads, iPhones. Pretty clear. How do you do it? I mean, again, pretty clear. There's an assembly line that puts all these parts and pieces together. And you do that and you put it up against, whatever other phone is out there. And it's like, then you get to the why, which is the tougher part for your brain to try to answer, because that part of your brain doesn't speak the same language as those other parts. So again, I'm not doing it justice. I would recommend reading the book, but
Yeah.
the gist of it is, your why is so deeply attached to you that it's not just sitting on the forefront of your mind, something that you can simply and easily put into words unless you sat and thought with it for a while beforehand. You don't just walk into a room, hey, what's your why?
Yeah.
And someone that's never thought about it just spits it out. That doesn't happen. So when you look at, I think it was Apple and I don't know, whatever other companies putting out phones at the time, pick whatever one you want. They could be priced rather close to the same, but people that love Apple products are all about Apple products.
Yeah.
And you would ask yourself, well, why is that? Because if you look at what they, talked about doing, it was about delivering a seamless and smooth experience to the end user that put power back in their hands through simple and elegant design. well, gosh, I want to buy an iPhone now. That sounds awesome, right? It's not just something that I can carry around that makes calls, but now you're telling me that I have the ability to create and make all of this content, do it seamlessly and smoothly, and my watch and earbuds all talk to each other seamlessly, and I have a whole ecosystem to myself. That's so cool and easy and smooth. Of course I want it. When you understand the why behind it, right, which is giving power back to the end user,
Yeah.
I'm about it. I want it. So purpose, I think, I don't know. I don't think people sit in an uncomfortable state with trying to find their why long enough. We'll talk after the pod if you want, but there was a time where I did for a long time trying to figure this thing out. And I despise this answer. Well, what do you want to do? I want to help people. It's like, well, yeah, no shit. I know who says, what do you want to do with your life? I want to work against people. I really want to make people's life as tough as I
Yeah.
can. No one says it. Of course you want to
Take
help
people's
people.
money. Yeah.
Yeah, what kind of low life do you think is going to go and say, you know what, I want to incite all of the corruption, and I want all the money in the world.
Yes.
That's what
That's
I
a
want.
good point. Wow.
No one says, well, I
Yeah.
don't want to help people. That's a terrible answer.
Yeah.
Well, I want to help people. That means nothing. That means nothing. How do you want to help people? I want to help people through coaching. Well, there's a ton of people that coach. Why do you want to do it? What about, like, in that digging deeper, again, continuing to ask yourself like a toddler, why? Well, why? Well, why? You'll get to a point to where you don't have the words until you eventually do, and you're like, it's so clear, it's so simple.
Yeah.
And I go and I do it. So yeah, sitting with your why, I think, is hugely helpful. And I think another part of burnout is if you aren't aligned with it, yeah, it's going to be rather frustrating. Like, my passion is working with those in the tactical space. If I believe, this is an theoretical, if I believe I'm here to work with tactical athletes only, combat athletes only, those that punch, strike, and strangle one another, and all my clients are 60 years of age or older, do you think I'm going to feel a little bit stressed and tired and burnt out when I have all of these elderly clients that are not the space that I've spent a lifetime building my skill set around? Well, of course I'm going to feel frustrated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, digging into your why and, like, what do you hear? And you might not give a shit about what your clientele population is. That's fine. That's great. Doesn't have to be tied to that. But I'm saying, if they're misaligned, but you think you're doing the right thing, yeah, you're always going to feel burnt out, stressed, tired, and fatigued.
No, that's super true. I find that more now. I think being in the field too, you find that like eventually you kind of realize like you have to go out and do other things and be a personal trainer and do corporate wellness or group exercise, and you have to find out what you like because that's the only way you'll keep doing it and really loving what you're doing. And that's why I think I'm still with football, and I really like working with football because I love just the culture that it is and how much they really care about strength conditioning versus other teams that I've been with and things and the impact that it has on those athletes, is tremendous just from my own experience and even now coaching. So yeah. And all that coming from a guy that doesn't own an iPhone.
You?
All that stuff on Apple, and you don't own a freaking iPhone. Every time I text you, it's the freaking green text bubble.
So I'm also a bit of a rebel. I will own this. I'm a bit of a late adopter. I'm a skeptical late adopter. I'll own that. I will. But yeah, no, my thoughts on tech, man. Apple's just so clean. Apple's so clean.
They've figured it out.
They have.
They've figured it out.
They've cracked it. But circling back to burnout, you only learn.
I hit 3 of them. Yeah, progression was the last one. And I think this has taken me out of a lot of my jobs. Actually, is progression.
So wait,
because
passion, we talked about at length.
Purpose, pay, and personal life.
Personal life, okay.
And then progression's the fourth one. Yeah. So progression is, I don't know. I think this is one for sure that has made me really contemplate leaving jobs or like really feel like I'm the one that's in a position where now I'm being overworked or overstressed because now it's like I don't know where to go,
Yeah. If you can you still hear me okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you don't have anywhere to go up the ladder, then that's a problem if you intend to climb. Here's what I mean by that. Stay with me. Stay with me. I've known people, and a lot of people do this, where fitness is like a side gig.
Yeah.
Do you think you're going to get burnt out if, let's say, you're capped at, I don't know, 25 clients, but you have this whole other job and you just enjoy coaching? So you have no
Mm.
aspirations to go from 25 to 50. You have no aspirations to run your own facility. You just want to do some coaching. So you get up to 25. They say, hey, you're capped at 25. You say, okay, I'm all right with that, company. Uh, I mean, yeah. So progression
Yeah.
is a problem if you intend to climb. Just
Yeah.
just something worth thinking about.
No,
But
that's true.
um yeah, but to your point, if you have nowhere to go, progression looks like a lot of things, right? It could look like commission, it could look like bonuses, it could look like more responsibility, which darn sure should come with more pay.
Yeah.
It could look, different in a lot of ways. It could look like branching off and franchising or opening your own facility under that same corporate umbrella. Progression, yeah, I don't know. People just think, yeah, my one point of pushback is I think people, especially younger generations that I've seen, and this is just me painting in broad strokes. I think people feel entitled to progression simply based on tenure,
Hmm.
which is a problem. Because if you have, been coaching in a place, say 10 years, and you have the same handful of clients that you had 10 years ago, if you haven't progressed as a coach, why would you expect them to pay you more when you haven't brought any
Yeah.
new skills to the table? You haven't brought a new basis of clients. You haven't broadened your skill set in any way. You know what I mean? So if you want progression, it
Yeah.
has to be met with ambition to earn that
Hmm.
progression. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you're just sitting there, well, I've worked here for a year, so I think I should make more. And they're like, okay, well, based off what you do the same job now that you did 52 weeks ago. Why would I pay you more for the same work? Because I've been here for a year. And it's like that
Yeah.
earns you nothing. You get a paycheck to take home. That's what you get for having worked here for a year. Like, what are you doing now that you weren't doing a year ago? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Now, if you say, well, I have 10 more clients, or I've, started working with this new team, which brings you a ton of business, or I've started to take over this part of the business. I manage our data now, so I can talk to our, coaching team about where we need to steer the training. Well, you've justified more pay for sure. There's progression in that. But just to be like, I've been here for this amount of time, so I'm entitled to my progression. It's like, for what? For what?
Yeah. That's interesting. I know some people really think about that as like a loyalty thing. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
been loyal to this company for X amount of years or whatever. I don't know. That's an interesting thing too because it's like yes and no. I understand that too, and like if somebody's doing a good job, it's hard for me to be like, yeah, like you shouldn't get what you think you deserve. Maybe it's too much. I don't know. You don't know what the um, specifics are, but
Company loyalty is, I think, a bit of a dead concept, which I'm saddened by. I like the idea that when I go to work, the company's looking out for me and I'm looking out for the company. There's this inherent trust, and I put in my 20, 30, 40 years with them. Then I'm able to retire and I'm
yeah,
comfortable.
that's
Their business is
that's a
set and
great
life is
point.
good.
That's
Life is
dead.
good. That
That's
doesn't
dead.
exist. Uber
Yeah,
and DoorDash, Lyft, Airbnb all exist and pay people as contracted labor. They aren't even employees. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not sitting here talking legally. I'm not the financial guy, but from my understanding is they are contractors of the company, not
yeah,
employees. So what do you get for 20 or 30 or 40 years with those companies? Not anything to my knowledge. I mean, even your paycheck is something you have to do your own math on. So I think gone are the days of company loyalty. I have a hard time believing in that. What I do, however, believe in is if you want to stick around, you need to provide, talking coaching, a level of service that is just tough for rival coaches to meet with, right?
yeah,
Like if you go on the floor and Coach X goes on the floor and the other coach is just so tough to deal with, just not pleasant, just doesn't read a room well, and you do read a room well, I would hope that a boss says, yeah, those two side by side, we can't get rid of Luke. People actually come because they enjoy being coached by Luke. This other guy's gotta go. You bring something to the table that's just tough to beat. Or like I said, taking on other responsibilities. I've proven my value to this company to the point where why would they get rid of me? I've earned some trust, air quotes there, to where I'm doing more for them, so I'm expecting more pay. Now, I mean, if they were to fire me, they have to hire a coach and a data manager and someone. Maybe if I do payroll, they got to hire a payroll guy. Like the more hats I wear and am equally compensated for, or fairly compensated for, the more valuable I am as an individual. So you want to insulate yourself because company loyalty is not there.
That was good.
Yeah. Well, I think we plan to maybe make this a series. We'll do some talking off air, but we've enjoyed your listenership and your patience, Relaxed Reps listeners. We're looking forward to getting back into the groove and bringing more content.
It's been awesome. I've missed it. I miss this stuff. I miss just like being able to critically think and just kind of shoot the shit. I think it's a lost thing. You know, I find myself doing this more now and just calling people, calling old friends and calling you all the time and just trying to vent and figure out ways to do these things. And it's great. So I love it.
For me, it's how processing happens. I mean, as Luke can attest, I'll talk to anyone that'll listen, anybody that will listen. But to get ideas back, right? I mean, I would talk to a wall, but to get ideas back is where growth happens. It's where, again, you get pushback on your ideas from someone that you trust, and that it can reshape your ideas. You bring new ideas to the table and grow the field, whether it's strength and conditioning, whatever field you're in. So I hope that you take value from this, whoever you are listening to this. I appreciate your listenership.
Absolutely. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
See you.
See ya.